Good afternoon. My name is Jeremy Meads from Schools ICT. This is going to be a short session, really, to introduce the idea of creating content within Moodle. For my own experience, I am an ex-teacher and an ex-assistant head at a school, and I used to use Moodle quite extensively when I was teaching. Now Schools ICT is a company of which I'm a director, and we specialise in working with Moodle and in particular integrating Sims and facility into Moodle. We also are about to launch our Discovering Moodle series of courses available to teachers. This is a whole school professional development package. This is going to be officially launched at BET in 2013. And it will include SCORM packages, two of which you can see on the right hand side of the screen, I hope. One's called an alternative practice, which is about evolving pedagogy from the classroom to include online learning. And the second one currently is using a Moodle assignment, and we'll be having a webinar about that in February. There'll be 4 more packages currently under development, and they will all be available at the end of January to coincide with BET. A little bit of housekeeping for you. Top right of the screen you should see a little bar here. If you press this button it will expand and you'll be able to ask questions. I'll do my best to answer any questions as we go along, but forgive me if I don't. I will check at the end of the webinar and see if there are any questions that I can answer for you. There'll be no polls today. You may or may not be relieved to know. So it's a fairly straightforward session. So let's get on. Creating Moodle content basically falls into 3 areas, and they are typically topic areas within a topics format in a course, resources and activities, and those 3 things go to make up Moodle content. Most of you, I'm sure, are familiar with the idea of a course. An example here, you can see we've got a navigation block on the left-hand side, along with a settings block. In order to add content to this particular course, or any course within Moodle, you must make sure that you turn the editing button on here on the top right-hand side, or of course you can access turning editing on through the course settings itself. When you've done this, you will see that you've got a number of options open to you now, where you can edit existing courses and edit existing activities and resources within the course, and of course edit the topic area as well. I should point out that we're demonstrating using Moodle 2.3, so if you have Moodle 2.3 and you're working with that, a lot of these things might be familiar to you. If you're using a lower version of 2.3, then some areas may not be familiar. When you click Add an Activity or a Resource, and I'll just back up and show you where that link is, that's in the middle of the course list here, sorry, in the middle of the topic list here, and there's an option to click on each topic. When you click that option, you see a panel with a list of activities that are available within your Moodle, together with a list of resources. When I first started with Moodle, I was a little bit confused about the difference between activities and resources. I didn't have the benefit of anybody actually telling me the difference. But basically activities are things which students can interact with, whereas resources are quite passive. They're about giving information to the student. We're going to be creating a page this afternoon with some content. So we're going to spend a little while looking at the editor that's within Moodle. That's this section here where we can add our content. We're also going to have a look at page layouts and what we can do to make them a little bit more interesting than just having a single column layout. And I'll also show you how to handle images in a page or any other place where the editor can be used. This is a page that I've created a little bit earlier today just to demonstrate something quite simple, that you can use a grid layout rather than having a single column going right across the page. You can, as I have done in this case, created a 2-column and 2-row layout. And of course, the type of layout that you have is really only limited by your own imagination. So basically, we can look at these things, or page layouts, as a grid. And here I've overlaid a grid so that you can see what that would look like. And if you're familiar with Moodle or Word or any other application where tables are involved, you can see that we could make use of a table within a page to lay out different elements of that page. So I'm just going to swap over now to Moodle so that we can have a look at that. So here we are in my course. I'm going to turn editing on so that I can access some features here. First one I'm going to indicate to you is the location of the private files section where I can upload files. So that's on the navigation, my profile, my private files. And you can see I've already got 2 files loaded, which I've used in that previous page. And I can drag and drop files into this area. So I'm just going to drag a file from my desktop into the area for it to be uploaded. And there we are. It's as simple as that. Gone are the days of uploading files. It's very quick and very simple. Let's go back to the course. And here's the page that you saw in my presentation. And we're just going to spend a few minutes recreating that. I'm going to do this in topic 2. As I mentioned earlier, click the link, add an activity or resource. Select page and click add. All we have to do with any information that we need to complete, whether it be an assignment or activity or a web page, we just need to make sure that we complete those fields that are indicated by red titles. So here I'm just going to type in a title for the page. And a short description. And move down to the content area. Here we see a blank page, and the area I want to concentrate on for a few moments is this section up here. Now, these are probably quite familiar controls to people who use Word and other products. You can see that I could bold text, italicize text, underline text, and so on. I can align text. I can create bullet points, I can create numbered lists, I can indent text, I can insert images, which we'll have a look at a little bit later, and I can insert a table. I can also make use of some inbuilt styles, just as I could in Word. I can select font sizes and font families. Typically, of course, the different types of fonts that you can choose, much shorter list than you might be able to choose in your Word program. Right, let's go ahead and see if we can recreate that page with 2 columns and 2 rows. So I'm going to choose a table here to insert a table. Just click the icon. 2 columns, 2 rows. I'm going to put in some space for padding between within the cell itself of the table and also between the cells. Just 5 pixels. And it's probably a good idea to actually limit the width of the table rather than having a piece of text that goes right across the page. By limiting the width of the table, you can limit the width of the text, which probably makes it a little bit easier for people to read. Click Insert, and you can probably see my table layout here. I've got some text over here, which I'm just going to copy and paste into that first cell. And into this cell I need to place my cursor. I'm going to insert an image. So click the image icon, select it from my private files, it's probably a good idea to have a description here. If you don't put something here, you'll just get a little warning message come up when you come to insert the image. It's not important, but it saves that little message coming up. Click on the Appearance tab. Now, you can see here that my image is 600 pixels by 450 pixels, which is quite large. So I'm going to reduce that down to 300. And by making sure that this little box is ticked, when I move into the next cell, the correct height is automatically calculated for me. I'm also going to select an alignment, middle, so that the image appears in the middle of the cell, and then insert. And you can see the image has appeared in the right-hand part of the table. In this bottom bit again, we're going to insert another image, so just go through that process again for you. This time we'll choose the car, type in a description, choose the alignment. This is a slightly larger image than the previous one, so we'll just change that to half again. It will automatically calculate the height to 240 because I've left this box ticked, and click Insert. I'm just going to pop the final piece of text into this cell. Nothing else to do now because I've completed the two fields at the top, the name and the description. And we'll just click Save and Display. And there we are. There's our new page. Very simple and easy to do. Are there any questions from anybody about what you've seen so far? Got a question about what's the use of the page. The page is really just a place for information. So I mentioned a little bit earlier, you can have activities, interactive things happening, or you could have a page. So I'm just using this as an example of using the HTML editor. I've also had a question about interactivity. I'm sorry, but this session is really about using the HTML editor and creating content. Certainly I can make a note of your request there, John, and we could look at producing another webinar for you later on. Thank you for the idea. Okay, I hope you found that reasonably helpful, particularly if you are starting out using Moodle for the first time. Understanding the HTML editor is a very simple tool to use. It's very easy to create content. The page was merely an example. You could do the same thing for your assignments and quizzes and so on, and even feedback. Nothing to stop you using the images and so on in your feedback. We're just a couple of things to let you know about. An alternative practice course is going to be available for free until the 21st of December. So you'll have a couple of weeks to enjoy that. And I'll email to everybody the website address so you can get to that. It'll be a simple guest access with a password, which I'll also email to you. and I hope you enjoy that. And any feedback that you have about the course, then please do let us know. Just email info@schoolsict.net. That would be very useful indeed. If you want to, you can go to our website, to the Discovering Moodle page on our website, and sign up for our Discovering Moodle newsletter. You'll also see our current webinar schedule. As you may or may not know, this is only the second webinar that we've put on so far this year, and we're looking for all sorts of topics that we can add to that, because we would like this to be a more frequent event for people. You can also follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/SchoolsICT, and on Twitter at SchoolsICT. The next webinar, I had planned to do a webinar early in January, but of course we have BET in January, towards the end of January, so time is going to be very, very short. So our first webinar of 2013 is going to be on the 7th of February, that's a Thursday again. It'll be about using Moodle assignments, so that might be of interest to John. We'll be looking at how Moodle assignments can be used, how they can work with outcomes, how they work with scales, and how you can assess assignments against outcomes. So I hope that will be of interest to you. Thank you very much for joining me this afternoon. Please let me have any suggestions for future webinars. We'd be absolutely delighted to put them on for you. And I hope to see you again very, very soon. Thank you very much.